Welcome back to Rolling Flame. It's been some time since we've posted and we're glad that you've chosen to come back to us. I hope that we show you some great cooking this year, and first of all maybe we'll have a look at some of the equipment. Okay, so first of all I'd like to share with you the Fornetto. So this is a bullet smoker, otherwise known as a water smoker. It has a pan of water in the bottom, underneath of that is the fire, and it basically creates steam and keeps a really stable temperature. In this we can slow cook all day long, brisket, Boston butt, anything low and slow, lamb shoulders. It comes apart in segments and it has multiple levels, and this can really get to about 220 degrees Fahrenheit if it's got a water pan in there, or about 300 Fahrenheit if it has no water pan in there. Now onto the Weber kettle. I'm sure there are lots of these all around the world, super popular, kind of a retro style, but it's got a great deck on it, 57 inches I believe it is. We cook with some baskets of charcoal in there. This type of cooking is usually a lot hotter, so you can do direct grilling. So this is really great for steaks, chickens, roasts, pork bellies, when you want to get crackling, that sort of thing, and it creates delicious results. Okay, well this is me cheating a little bit here. So sometimes you've just got to get the job done and you don't have time to light charcoal, but you still want to have delicious smoked food. This here is a gas smoker, and there's a grate at the bottom which the flames come out of, and then you've got a little wood chunk box on top of that which actually smokes everything. And the great thing about this is you can just let it go, just set the temperature on low and forget it, and come back in 12 or 13 hours. You really have to do very little work. The beauty of this is that it has multiple decks, so you can put a lot of food in here if you're having a big event or something like that. But also if you want to dabble in the dark art of cold smoking, this is called a cold smoke generator here, and you put in pellets in the top, and I have a little fish pump which puts the air through, and it just puts this nice cold smoke right through here, so you can do cheeses and eggs and smoked salt, smoked chilies, all sorts of things. Super versatile. I've got to thank a friend of mine, Bruce, for passing this on to me, so I'm very appreciative of that. So this beast here is a Weber Spirit gas barbecue. So once again, no, it's not wood fired or charcoal fired, but this is a battle axe. This thing's been going for nearly 20 years now, so it's a bit rough around the edges, but it lives on. And quite often I'll cook something in the wood-fired oven and I'll just sit this on low, and it can keep things warm. Also, I can do things on the spit in there, so I can put you know, a pork loin in there, and it'll just gradually go on the rotisserie and gives you really great crackling. Once again, you don't always have time on a weeknight to use solid fuel, so we do have this as an option. Now onto the big one. So this is the centerpiece of this area. So I don't think there's a person that wouldn't like to have an area like this with a wood-fired oven. To me, it's so great to not only cook food in this primitive way using fire, but you've actually collected the firewood yourself. You've even built the oven, you know, brick by hand with friends and family who have helped out. There's a lot of history in this oven. We've had a lot of meals here with people, a lot of great times out here. It's very special to me. It was first fired up February of 2013, so that makes it 11 years old. It's going strong. All I've ever really done to this is just put a new coat of, what do we say, bagging on this, because it was just sort of getting a bit of discoloration on it, but it hasn't cracked. And it's been heated up and cooled down so many times. It's really, really durable. I would not imagine how many pizzas have been cooked in here, but the thing is, people say, oh, pizza oven. This is not just a pizza oven. You can cook so many different things in here. So anything that you can imagine cooking in a normal oven or a grill, you can actually do that in here, and it's so challenging. It has no temperature gauge on it. It's basically up to you to manage the fire. You have to work with what you've got. You've got humid conditions, dry firewood, damp firewood, and you've just got to make it work. It takes a long time to learn how to manage the fire, but once you have, it's a very satisfying craft to learn. Now to talk about the equipment that we're using. I'm a big fan of cast iron here, so I believe it has great properties for low and slow cooking, also cooking with flame, and it can handle very high heat. Got really good heat retention properties, so if you're going to cook a steak in there, it really holds that sear so well. We've got a range of different things. We've got, in this case, a small Dutch oven. We also have a very large Dutch oven. I want to mention that everywhere we're just going with these temperature probes because that's the key to just nailing the temperatures in sensitive things like steaks, chickens, and etc. We have good quality knives here, so we've chosen to use Global knives. They're just a nice, good carbon steel, and always like to just keep those sharp as I go. Always give them a little touch up. You do not need to spend a lot of money to get cast iron. So in this case, this is Crofton, which is an Aldi brand, and I've had no problems with it. The only thing you need to do is try not to cook a lot of acidic things in there. Try and cook, fatty things in there. Moving along to roasting trays. So this is an enameled cast iron tray. So this is, I think it was the Fornetto brand. I actually got a couple of these from Bunnings at the time. They were about $50 each. So they'll last for a lifetime, and they're not that expensive, and they're so durable. These I find really great for cooking roast potatoes, so you can actually fill it with a little bit of oil or lard or whatever you want to have, and virtually whatever's in there will fry. It's beautiful. Another Aldi pan. Once again, this would be 8 or 9 years old. Certainly only about $30 or so. They come around on sale every now and then, so they're worth picking up. Now this was a slightly more expensive pan which we bought from a specialist kitchen shop. This is a little bit different in that it's carbon steel. So ironically, I think there's more carbon in cast iron than there is in carbon steel, but this is really great. You can see it's great for cooking fish. We do lamb racks and things like that in here. Sometimes I'll just fill one of these with potatoes, one with meat, and I put a different sort of vegetable in each one, and they just come in and out of the oven at the right time. They're cooked so fast and the results are so fresh. I've got a couple of smaller pans here where you could just do some sort of a vegetable or a sauce. I've got these fantastic prawn pots here. So these have been a favourite of our visitors especially. What we do is we get a couple of sticks of butter and melt them on the hearth, heat these up to a really high temperature, and then we put in a mixture of garlic and chili prawns, and right before serving we just put in a handful of fresh parsley into each one and eat it with crusty bread. Super delicious. I'd like to mention this pan here, which goes with the Weber kettle, and it's part of a system, and it actually interchanges into the center, and I find that really good for doing burger patties, and I can toast the bread around the outside. It's interchangeable also with a sear grate that goes into the Weber kettle, which is great for putting that nice pattern on steaks. This is me breaking the rule about having non-stick. This is a veggie basket which can go into a Weber kettle, or it can go directly over the charcoal. Obviously the flame and the smoke goes right through, so you can char broccolini or cos lettuce and that sort of thing. Great in a Caesar salad. We are not immune to taking advantage of convenience sometimes, and let's say you've just had a really busy day and you don't want to clean up. There's no shame in using aluminium. Just to finish off the equipment tool, it's worth mentioning you're probably going to need quite a few of these boards or something similar, because everything that comes out of this oven is super hot, and I learnt that the other day, and I think I burnt about 4 fingers when I forgot to use my trusty gloves. You can even get burnt through those gloves. You can use all sorts of different fuel for your smoker or your kettle. Heat beads are quite good. You can use charcoal as well, and you can buy that by the bag. It's always easy to light it with something that, let's not make it too hard for ourselves, so just use some kerosene lighters. This is what a starter charcoal chimney looks like. I always cheat and just wait right there. I've got something that I use. Quite often I just start it with a little bit of extra airflow. These can take 45 minutes to get going sometimes, so let's use a bit of technology as well. Looking at all of this equipment together, each piece has a unique function. What gives me versatility out here is having access to all of these different pieces. Some are good for the wood-fired oven, and some are great for the smokers and the kettle. Just having them all there really means I can do all these different styles of cooking that I hope to show you. But moving across to the oven now, these are the tools that are only used for this wood-fired oven. So firstly, I'd like to start with this pizza peel. It's beautifully handmade. It's Peter Bergman, and it's hand forged. You want that small head to turn the pizzas the right way. There's a certain action, and it's great to see someone who's an expert using these. I haven't actually had this style for more than about, say, 18 months or so, but I'm improving with it. Okay, so I made these myself. I used to have bamboo pizza peels. If you use normal plywood, these will warp really, really badly. I used marine ply, and you can wash these in the sink and dry them out, and they do not warp and they do not bend. You just make sure that you plane the edges so that they're fairly sharp on the edge, and when you slide the pizza in, it's actually touching the brick, and they just slide straight off the board across the floor of the oven. Inside here we have a Tuscan grill. And I've just realised that's still really warm. It's Wednesday today, and last time we fired this was on Saturday night, and that's still really warm. This was a fairly cheap grill that I got from the local hardware store called Bunnings in Australia, and I literally welded a few nut heads on the side of that and screwed some bolts into it. It slides across the floor really well, so you don't have to pay a lot of money to get something that will do a really good job for you. I'll put that back in there for next time. This is a 2.4 meter straight edge. This goes into the oven, and I actually use it to move the fire around, but I can also push the whole fire to one side so that it's up against one wall, and you get literally you get the rolling flame. All right, so this tool here is really good for pushing the charcoal, all the charcoal to the back of the oven if I want to cook with a rear fire. And it's also good to scrape all the ash out when the fire's finished down into the waste chamber. This tool here deserves a mention because it happens to be a cheap painting extension pole. Now this is as old as the oven, say, 11 years. All I did is I just got a coach bolt. I bent it with a sledgehammer, and I put a cork inside and just screwed it into that. And this is used as a hook, and I can actually move big bits of firewood and sticks around inside, and I can push and pull all the pans out of the oven. So with a little bit of imagination and some things you've got lying around your house, you can get really good durable tools. Well, thank you for joining us back here on the Rolling Flame channel. I hope you found this information intriguing, as the craft of wood-fired cooking really is, and I hope to see you on the next show soon.